Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I want to give you all of the tips that I've collected for World Boss Ultima Proxima Midnight. And I want to do this because it's really important that if you have an account, if you have the roster to do World Boss Ultimate, you should definitely be doing it not only for level 70 characters, but also for tier 3, gear 25, etc. And it's also a really fun game mode. I have to give credit where credit's due. Netmarble found a way, and the devs of this game really hit a massive home run with this new difficulty, the scalingness of it, the fact that it has new options and new items and new rewards, and also just the way that we play World Boss Ultimate has changed completely. It's no longer a straight DPS check. Multiple new characters can actually do World Boss Ultimate, even up to the high stages past stage 9 and 10. But it's more about playing smart, and that's what I love about this game. It rewards intelligent gameplay, and what I love about this new game mode. Just a couple of frequently asked questions that I've seen a lot of before we get started. There are no other World Boss Ultimates available right now. You'll see that they're all in preparation. That means that Netmarble is still working on those stages, so there's no way to unlock them. Right now, as you can see from the icons, they all have their little gray border, but then Proxima has the the black and red one with the white skull or white biometric head and the two swords. That is the World Boss Ultimate kind of symbol, which means it's available. And then we have the Apocalypse with the green star, white star with the green, which means that he's the recommended boss. Anyways, the other thing that you want to know about World Boss Ultimate is that right now there are a couple of things that they seem to be random when doing World Boss Ultimate, semi-random anyways. The first one is the rewards. Although I've been able to beat up to stage 18 of World Boss Ultimate, I have not noticed better rewards, which is pretty disappointing. I think that's my biggest criticism of this game mode so far, is that besides the different colored boxes, the different colored, they're called booty boxes, there's no other change. I'm not seeing more black antimatter. I'm not seeing more Titan records or dimension dust. I'm not seeing more Titan component packs or cosmic cube fragments. We should definitely be able to notice a difference between stage 1 and stage 18 of World Boss Ultimate. So I think the devs should really look at tweaking some of these numbers a little bit, maybe putting some limits, maybe like a cap for the lower levels, and then having that be the bottom cap or the baseline for the upper levels, so you're guaranteed to automatically get more dimension dust from stage 18 versus stage 1, for example. I don't know the exact numbers, but I don't think it should be random. I don't think that people should be confused and just run stage 1 every day, because you want to encourage the majority of the players to play higher levels to get better rewards. It's not just for the accolades and the rankings page. The other thing that you should know is that the raid level that you get there, I have a raid level of 20, that is a result of actually winning in World Boss Ultimate. So there's no other way to increase your raid level other than just playing and winning World Boss Ultimate. Now I do believe, although I'm not 100% sure on this, that the higher World Boss Ultimate stages you do, the better chance you have of getting a full bar or almost a full bar of raid level from whatever level you are to the next level. I've spoken to a few of other people on my live stream, and they aren't at the same level as me. They're kind of stage 13, 14, or level 13, 14 for raid level, and they've been doing lower stages of World Boss Ultimate. Since I unlocked stage 15 a couple of days ago, I've only been doing stage 15 and up, so that might be a product of my higher raid level. Like, that's might be why, maybe not. Lastly, Valor. We don't know exactly what Valor does, but it does make the game mode easier. It does make the boss easier, whether it makes the damage less damaging or whether it makes the ultimate skills that the boss uses less frequent. You want to have Valor, so that does put a smaller premium, a slightly higher premium on having universal characters, but I would not go out and start tier 2ing a bunch of universal characters just for World Boss Ultimate. A couple of easy things you can do is make sure that Groot is wearing his Thrut uniform. If you have it, that will give you an additional 5 Valor, and you can also do the same thing for Vision. If he's wearing his uniform, you'll get an additional 5. So that's an easy way to get an additional 10 Valor if you already have those characters at tier 2, and if you don't, then you're gonna have to figure something out or just wing it. You'll also get more Valor by just beating World Boss Ultimate and improving your raid level. That's a much smaller way to do it, but it definitely is possible. Lastly, you will see that at level 10 you will have challenges that you need to complete, or at level 9 you have challenges to complete that you need to unlock in order to get to level 10, or you can spend 1,350 crystals to automatically unlock them. I think for the majority of the player base, if you're not trying to push to the highest level possible and you're satisfied with level 9, you should just play it out and build up your Hulk, because he is the required character. It's really cool. I paid and got ahead just because I wanted to see how far I can go with my roster, and I want to see how good the rewards gets for you guys. Right now I'm up to stage 19. Once I get to 20, I do have another challenge awaiting me, and surprise surprise, this time around instead of Hulk, it's Captain America. So that's pretty exciting stuff. You don't actually have to do the majority of the damage or any of the damage with Captain America, so I can just have him babysat on a team, but with, you know, Wolverine and Quicksilver, for example. But it's cool that they're doing this kind of stuff and forcing us, or semi-forcing us, to actually use a character. If they said clear World Boss Ultimate Stage 19 with Captain America doing 50% of the damage, then we get into a trickier situation. Maybe for the next round we can have that. But as far as how you want to approach this World Boss Ultimate, there's a couple of things you need to consider. The first thing is that for Proxima specifically, World Boss Ultimate, she is weaker to physical attacks and she is stronger against energy attacks. So you're going to want to make sure that the characters you're choosing and the characters and the teams that you're building are not based around energy damage. There are a few exceptions to this, and I'll explain them in a minute, but for example, Iron Man is going to have a lot harder time because his base damage is energy. Even though he has some physical attacks like mass fire and jet mode, the majority of his damage, iron cannon, etc., deals energy damage. On the other hand, you'll find that Captain America is probably a little bit easier than Iron Man, despite the fact that your Captain America is known as a tanky character who doesn't deal a lot of damage, because lo and behold, all of his attacks deal physical damage. So that does make characters like Wolverine, Quicksilver, Hulk, and a bunch of others much better for this game mode. It actually does make Cable a lot worse because his main damage, his full source of damage, is energy attack. Sorry, I just sneezed. The couple exceptions that I would mention is characters like Apocalypse. His fourth skill, Fist of Judgment, which does by far the most damage, is physical, so you will be able to beat this World Boss Ultimate even up to stage like 15 with a well-geared Apocalypse, especially if you built him for ABX, because this does massive damage as long as you land it with the damage proc. But in general, you do want to pick physical dealing characters. Even you can go lower. I mean, Spider-Man does really well on this stage. Winter Soldier is a monster on this stage. I've heard people using Scourge, Anti-Venom. You can use Angel, although it's not as easy, but it's still definitely doable. Vulture, weaker version of Angel. Black Panther's a great option. There's lots of good physical damage characters now in the game that you can choose from, Titania even. So you shouldn't have a problem there. So once you build up your team, of course, you're going to want to use a good leadership. She-Hulk doesn't work, so 30% physical attack, 45% all attack, 50% physical attack with Beast, and then you can use a support character, for example, Shuri. So in this case, I want to show you a pretty high level stage. I'm going to go up to 15 here, and I want to show you all of the boss's special moves and how I would approach the fight if I were you with whatever team you're using, because the traditional iframe spam or strict rotation that we've learned for things like Extreme Alliance Battle does not work as well in World Boss Ultimate. It's possible, and you can take some cues from it, like for example Quicksilver's 5 cancel 4. That's a great combo for World Boss Ultimate, but the rest of his rotation, like using the third skill the whole way through, really bad idea. Any gap, however small, in a character's iframe, the World Boss Ultimate will exploit it, will deal damage, will use one of their ultimate skills and punish you, and you'll die. I mean, you'll be upset and you'll wonder why. The last tip I have for you about team composition is you do not need ignore, dodge strikers. For whatever reason, they deleted or they got rid of the ignore, dodge requisite for Proxima Midnight. So if you remember the old Proxima Midnight World Boss Ultimate, Spider-Man 2099 was great for it, as was Quicksilver, because of the ignore dodge that he has natively. That's no longer the case. Quicksilver is still great for the damage, but he's not needed for the ignore dodge. I'm going to use Coulson here, even though I don't need his crit rate, because Wolverine has guaranteed crit rate, but I'm going to use him for the increased damage against supervillain types. And then I'm going to just round that out with a leadership that Logan can use. We'll just use Cyclops here, because we get an additional all defense, ignore defense, and we get 35 and 25. So it's a pretty decent squad here. I've done this with other characters as well. Beast is another great option, but I've already used him. Keep in mind you can only use each team once, so you're going to have to develop 15 characters, 5 teams of 3. I think overall the best strikers, as far as I've had success with, are these 5 specifically. Hyperion has a mixture of physical and energy damage. Punisher is mostly physical, so is Sharon Rogers. Luna Snow is energy, but she has that 4th skill, which has the charm effect, and that does work on the World Boss Ultimate, and it renders her useless, so it's great. Ancient One doesn't do any damage, but she drops a heal spell with her 5th skill, which does help you and heal you. And then she also drops a debuff skill, which will be like an orange ring that I'll show you, and that will take away a bleed effect if you run through it. So it's really good for kind of cleansing. A couple of additional choices that I used sometimes that do work: Hulk, Scourge, and a Heimdall. Heimdall's not as good as Scourge or Hulk, but he's definitely useful. So let's jump into the game mode now, and you'll see a couple of different things, and I'll note for you a few landmarks that you need to look out for when the world boss is being fought. She has 15 bars, always 15 bars of HP. It does correlate to a number, but the number is not important. What you want to instead look out for is when the bar hits 11, because she'll do a special attack, and then when the bar hits not 7, but actually 6, I believe, because that's when she will retreat and buff, and that's where you don't want to do too much damage. So let's jump into the fight right now, and you'll see what she does. She does do a few attacks. Sometimes she opens with this attack. Sometimes she opens with a leaping attack that brings a circle around you. She has multiple different attacks that do multiple different things. The main ones she has are dot damage effects. So this one is an actual crowd control effect. These tornadoes, if they hit you, they will bleed you and stun you for a few seconds. She has a time freeze effect, and she has this acid cloud. The acid cloud is always 3 times, and it does follow you or your clones, so you can just run around and watch those 3 acid clouds drop, and then you can continue attacking the boss. You do want to probably run away from the tornadoes because she likes to combo them into other skills. You can see the penetration of the kind of spears coming at me after those, and then we see the 3 clouds there. You can also run away when she summons the clouds so that they don't summon on her. If you just circle her, you might end up with Proxima surrounded by clouds, which you just can't do damage to her then. The clouds won't pierce your iframes, but they will do damage as soon as you leave iframe. So that's why I say that iframe spamming is not such a good idea. Iframe spam usually just holds your character in place right in front of the boss, which is fine if the boss doesn't put things at your feet. But when there are AoE effects right beneath you, kind of like Thanos' elemental attack in the old world boss stage, those tornadoes that he summons or the poison pools, very similar to that kind of situation. But the first stage is not that bad. She does a couple of different attacks. The worst one is definitely the poison cloud that you need to look out for. In addition to the tornadoes, you should make a good habit of what I like to call, like, it's kind of like a punch and then it's a circle. So what I like to do is I get a couple of skills in with Wolverine, and then I end with the second skill. I really like to use iframes that have movement. So Wolverine's second skill is a great example. It's an iframe, so it protects me, but it also moves Wolverine away from the world boss. And that's kind of an escape skill. I'll call those escape skills from now on. And you want to be able to use those, or maybe in the later stages when the world boss only has a couple of bars left, because that's when they like to spam all of their most dangerous moves. You want to maybe consider keeping, if you're not short for time, keeping that second skill off cooldown so that you can use it as an escape in a really bad situation. Like, let's say the purple circles are underneath you, or she's got the other spears raining down on you, and you'll see it gets way more savage as the fight continues, and these effects will seem childish in comparison to some of the stuff that she summons. But once we get her down to 11 bars here, you're going to see her new ultimate skill. And I think this pretty much triggers in every single mode, like whether it's level 1 or stage 20, or 50, I would guess. But once she gets down to 11, I believe it's the bottom of 11. It's not the top of 11, so it's technically at the base there. Well, we'll get there in a second. But once she gets there, she's going to run to the top. Usually, unless you do too much damage, she'll run to the very top of the arena. And right after that, she's going to rain down these arrows, or these spears. These spears will pierce your iframes. You're not protected from anything when she's using them. So my recommendation is, if you have one main damage dealing character like Wolverine, switch. So in this case, I can just switch to Coulson. And the pattern of the arrows or the spears is middle, and then the sides, and then the middle, and then the sides. So all you have to do is run in and out. I got frozen, otherwise I'd be running kind of in and out like this. We can see the heal circle from Ancient One does pop up from time to time. And here we have the first major, or the second major hurdle. So we had the poison kind of pools. We have that times 11 kind of ultimate move where she runs to the top of the arena. This is the other big one that you have to look out for. When Proxima kind of spins her spear and slams it on the ground, these purple circles are going to come down. This will basically instantly kill 90% of characters. Even my Wolverine, if he stands in enough of these purple circles, they will kill him even with 70,000 HP, believe it or not. So my recommendation, if you see the purple and the character you're using cannot get away, let's say Quicksilver's about to end his 4th skill, switch and run away. I love doing that. Alternatively, just run away. So I'm going to keep running with Coulson. I didn't have a chance to actually keep running, so he died. But you can just keep running with the character. Usually your character will be able to outrun the purple circles, so you don't have to worry too much about that. She'll also start doing a straight purple shot where she throws a single spear. I'm not sure if that pierces your iframe or not, but it's a pretty scary move. But she'll also retain all of the other attacks. So she'll retain the time freeze, she'll retain the jumping back and throwing spears, she'll retain the poisoned circles, the poison pools, and the tornadoes that do the snare effect or the bind effect. You could do something like roll an obelisk specifically with snare resist. I don't necessarily recommend it. I think if you just practice this game mode and you practice moving in and out and kind of reading the landscape, more often than not you'll have enough time. I've obviously wasted a lot of time talking, and that's why I probably won't be able to finish this one because I'm about halfway through on the damage. What you just saw there was at the bottom of 7. Once you get the HP bar down to the end of 7 and it switches over to 6, she will run to the middle of the stage and she will buff up her attack, buff up her defense. When that happens, you want to make sure that you didn't just use your best skill, your damage proc, or your team up skill, because you'll waste all that damage. I'm sure by now most players are familiar with the world boss cutscene, so this is just something you want to keep in mind. Whittle them down when you see them close to the end of 7. Don't bust out or don't waste, put on cooldown your heaviest hitting skill, because you'll lose a lot of that damage, because as soon as the world boss goes into that animation, all of the damage stops. The attack that's happening right now is probably the other scariest skill. I'm not actually sure what Proxima's tell is for it. A tell is like something that the boss does to indicate that a damage attack is coming. This one is similar to the purple circles, except it lands right away. And if you get hit by the first one, the rest of them will just keep spawning where you got hit because you'll be stunned and taking damage, and you'll just die. And this skill is basically just a bunch of blue spears that rain down on you. And you can see I took a lot of damage when I just got hit by about 10% of the spears. So it's actually a really damaging attack, and I think that one in combination with the purple circles is by far the worst attack to have to deal with. Keep in mind, you know, moving in and out is probably your best bet, and so by keeping yourself moving, by not just spamming iframes, you can not only tell what's going on. See there, I was trying to do my second skill to get out of the way, but I wasn't able to. But by doing a skill and then backing out, you can see, okay, what's happening? Okay, more purple circles. You can assess. I got frozen. That's my bad. I should have been outside of the zone. We have purple plus the other ones. That's basically instant kill for any character, no matter what. But this is my basic tactic. I go in and out, and I kind of do a half circle around the arena, waiting to see what the next move is from the world boss. In this case Proxima, and looking out specifically for the purple circles, the red circles later on. I don't think she does that in the first half of the fight, but after 7 she does, and then those poison pools as well. Those 3 attacks in combination with the time freeze and the stunning tornadoes are the recipe for disaster. But if you keep kind of circling around, doing half circles or semicircles, and using your iframes in kind of short bursts, you'll have much better success, I think, against the world boss ultimate. Those are my tips overall for you guys. I know it was a bit of a lengthier video than we're used to. If you want any additional help, or if you want to see this live, you can always hit me up on the live stream, because I'm clearing it every day with different teams 5 times. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.